Hello, welcome and thank you for joining us today for the next webinar in our What's New series. In today's webinar, we'll cover some of the newest features in Microsoft 365 that you can implement in your business, as well as covering some brand new features that are coming up in the next few months. Don't feel like you need to take notes or take it all in straight away, as we'll be sending out a recording of this webinar and a follow-up fact sheet later today. Also, if you have any questions, please do feel free to drop those into the Q&A box at the side at any time. I will do my best to keep an eye on those as we go along, but there will also be dedicated time for questions at the end of the webinar. So let's take a look at the agenda for today. We're going to be looking at new file previews in Teams. There's a process to make approval processes easier with the lists integration. There's a new feature which allows you to annotate PDFs without leaving OneDrive or SharePoint. The location for your meeting recordings will be changing, so worth updating the rest of your team on that. There's also a sneaky update that I added in here last minute, which is an update to Copilot in Word. And there's a new feature coming, which is a new Teams mute option for the Windows taskbar. So something else to watch out for in case you're one of those people who accidentally ends up on mute in meetings. Finally, we'll be looking at what's next and what you can do to implement some of these changes in your business. So let's start with a welcome. Good to see so many people coming back and joining us again, and also welcome to all those new faces. My name's Jennifer Benge and I'm the marketing lead at Bedroq. Bedroq is an IT managed service provider and Microsoft solutions partner for modern work. This means that the IT that we implement is based on the Microsoft stack. So that includes things like Microsoft 365, Teams, Azure, etc. We're also experts in secure, resilient networks and managed IT solutions where high performance is critical. We work with organisations that have some of the highest security requirements in the UK. We manage mission-critical IT and operational technology for highly regulated organisations. The most important thing we want to achieve, no matter what your organisation does, is to make sure that your IT strategy supports your business strategy as a whole. And we do this with the help of our 8 strategic rocks. You can see these on the screen here. They are data, skills, backup, strategy, investment, security, quality of service, and collaboration. The collaboration rock is the focus of this webinar series, as at their heart, these Microsoft 365 tools that we're talking about are mostly collaboration tools. Many people we come across have invested heavily into their IT. They've bought all of these apps, they have their Microsoft licenses, but they're not using it to its full capacity, and therefore they're not seeing the best value or return on investment. So that's the aim of this webinar series, just to keep you up to date with everything that's coming out, everything that you can start to implement that you've probably already got, and that will make a big difference to your business strategy. So let's kick off with our first new feature today. This is a nice simple update that will pretty much happen automatically. You don't need to enable anything. It will just suddenly one day appear within your Teams app. So Microsoft Teams will soon show previews of files or images, such as PowerPoint files, PDFs, any kind of photo files that you're sharing, and it will show those as a preview in chats and channels. So you can see an example of this in the slide here. The box at the bottom shows where someone has shared some files, and there are image cards basically showing previews of what's in those files. So this applies to files like images, PowerPoint, PDFs, Word documents, with more content types to follow as well. The preview will not be shown if you don't have access to the file or if the file is marked as confidential. So this is quite useful if you're quickly scanning back through a chat and trying to find a file that was shared. You kind of have a memory of potentially what the title page of that PowerPoint you're looking for looked like. It's much easier to do a quick visual search or type in and then double check the image that comes up to check that you're opening the file that you think you are. This change is due from early June 2024, so anytime now. Some of you may already have this, some of you it will be coming later on in the month, everything, as with all updates with Microsoft, it kind of is a gradual rollout. So some of you may already have it, others may have to wait a little while, but we are expecting this anytime now. Next up, this is quite a big section, and it's something that is not 100% a new feature, as in it's not completely brand new, but it's something I was talking to someone about the other day and thought it'd be worth covering in these webinars, as this is a really useful feature for people who spend a long time doing approvals or having approvals as a big part of their role. So this is the approvals in the lists integration. So you can use modern approvals in lists to create any approval requests that you might have for list items. You can also respond to approval requests and view the approval status of list items. So I'm going to show you a few different slides here of how it looks if you're requesting the approval and also if you are the approver and giving that approval to the item. So approvals are pre-configured if a list is created from a few different selected built-in templates. So the templates that particularly include this approvals integration are the content scheduler with approvals and travel requests with approvals. However, you don't have to stick to one of these pre-made templates. You can enable or disable approvals in any list that you potentially are already using by going to the Automate dropdown and selecting Configure Approvals. The dialog will provide a switch to enable and disable at any time. So you can see there on the screen, there's just a slider that you can enable or disable approvals at any time in any list. Navigate to the command bar to automate dropdown and select the Configure Approvals option. And from there, you'll be able to select the Enable Approvals and hit Apply. You can also disable the approvals at any time by just going through the same process, going to that same menu item, going to that drop down and sliding that toggle backwards again. If you do disable approvals in a list that has already got approvals in it, you will only hide the related approvals columns. So it's not as if you're going to suddenly lose loads of your list because you've turned off this feature. You're literally just switching off that column that contains the approvals information. Active approvals will still be actionable in Teams, and you can re-add that column to approve at any time. So if perhaps if there's a mistake and you want to put it back again, you can reactivate it. Everything will still be there. So once you're in that approvals view, on a list, you can select an item and select Request Approval from the menu to open the approvals dialog box. Alternatively, you can select the status button of that item under the approval status column to open that same dialog box. So you can enter one or more approvers in the approvers field. So if you've got a few people that can approve each different thing, you can add all of their names. And then by default, once the approval request is approved or granted by one of those people, it's completely wiped off and will no longer appear for any of the other approvers to see. If needed, you can also select the toggle below to require response from all approvers. So again, it depends. If you need more than one person to sign something off, you can leave it so that all of them have to approve something before it goes ahead. Or if you just need one of any of a group of people to approve something, you have that option as well. You can also add details about the approval request. So any detail that's relevant to that approval, put it in there and the approvers will be able to see it. Once an approval request is created for an item, the status button will change to requested. Just so it's easy there, you've got the visual buttons that you can quickly scan across and see which ones have been approved and which ones you're still waiting for. So here's the view of how you can respond to an approval request on a list item. So there are two ways of doing this, depending on if you're approving from a list or from the approvals app in Teams. So first up, we'll start with the list view, which is on the left. To approve something in the list view, select the list item that you wish to respond to on an approval request and select approval details. And then alternatively, you can also do this by selecting the button again under the approval status column. In the approvals dialog box, you can select approve or reject for the user as needed. If you requested this approval, you'll also see an option to cancel this request. So if something suddenly has changed, you don't need that approval anymore, you can just cancel it and it will no longer appear on the list of approvals needed by those users. On the right-hand side of the screen, you can see how it looks if you're approving from the Approvals app in Teams. So go to the Approvals app in Teams, identify and select the approval request in the list that you have. And in that approvals dialog box again, you'll have pretty much the same view. You'll be able to select approve or reject as needed. And again, if you are the person who's requested that approval, you can also cancel the request. There are also more actions available in that dialog box. So these include things like follow up, reassign, or there's just more actions that you can add on potentially if your approver suddenly is going to be away for a long time, you might want to reassign it to someone else to get the approval. Finally, you can have a look at the approvals history within this list integration as well. So useful if you want to see who signed something off, when they signed it off, etc. So select the item that you wish to respond to for an approval request and select approval details from the menu. Alternatively, again, you can use that little button to select the status button and click on that as well, and that will open the same view. In the Approvals app in Teams, go to the app view, identify the approvals request that you want to check up on, and just click on it there, and it will show you the full history of who's approved it, when it was approved, anything you might need to know. If an approver does not have permission to view a list item, then sending the request for approval to that user won't automatically give them permission to view whatever it is you're asking for. So the approver must be granted access to view the list item manually. They must already have access rights. Just by asking them to approve something in this list, they're not going to be able to open any documents that they don't already have access to. So that was a quick whistle-stop tour. Again, there have been a few updates since we last spoke about list integrations, so I thought it was worth going over again. And because this is such a useful feature, I think it's sometimes worth just reminding people that this is available to you, and it's something that could speed up your approvals processes. If this is something that takes you a long time, maybe you're just doing everything by email, is some way you can keep everything in one place and organised so everyone knows the status of the approvals that are waiting and when things have gone through. It's just much more organised for you. Okay, so that was the approvals update. Let's look at our next new feature that we have to talk about today. You'll soon be able to annotate PDFs with text boxes without leaving OneDrive or SharePoint. So typically within many organisations, you end up with lots of different PDFs. Not everyone has ability to edit PDFs. Not everyone has the software that enables them to do that. And usually PDFs can end up being a bit clunky if it's the kind of content that you want to be able to comment or edit, and you're just not able to do that. So this new feature will enable you to save your annotations so they'll appear next time that you or anybody else with access opens that document. So to do this, you need to open a PDF in either OneDrive or SharePoint. You'll be able to click the Edit button at the top menu. You can then select Add Text on the left of that menu, and you can then write and format your text and save it on top of that PDF itself. Again, I think this could be really useful for leaving comments on reference documents or comments for edits you want to be made if potentially, again, not everyone has access to actually make those edits, but this allows everyone to put their input in and then someone can just go through and change all of those edits at the same time. This is due from mid-June onwards, so look out for that if you're editing or reading through PDFs in OneDrive and SharePoint. Next up, there is going to be a new location for your Teams meeting recordings. So currently, Teams meeting recordings are saved to the OneDrive of the person who started the recording. So anybody who's attending a meeting currently can choose to record that meeting if you've allowed them the permission to do that. and the recording will then be saved into their personal OneDrive. This change will mean that the meeting recording is saved into the meeting organizer's OneDrive, regardless of who started that meeting recording. So if anybody else attending that meeting starts that meeting recording, it will automatically be saved into the organizer's OneDrive. As happens now, after the meeting is over and the recording is saved, a link to the recording will be shared into the meeting's chat. So you can see that on the left-hand side. That's an example of how that looks when the meeting chat just appears in there with the recording. You can directly click on that link to listen to the recording, or the share button to share it with anyone else who might need it. So overall, this update doesn't affect the usability of Teams meeting recordings, but it is important to know if you need to be aware of the location of where any of your data is being stored. So particularly important if you are in charge of your data protection for your organisation. It's just a change to be aware of where this kind of information is going. If anything, I think this makes it slightly more secure that the meeting recording will always be shared by into the meeting organiser's OneDrive, but just something to be aware of. This update is due to take effect anytime from late May onwards, so we've already passed the original launch date, so it may already have been implemented in your organisation, or it may be coming soon. Again, this is something, it's not going to change the usability. I think for the majority of users, it's going to make no difference at all, but just something to be aware of the data will be stored within the meeting organiser's OneDrive. So someone's just quickly asked, when will this be implemented? Anytime now, Martin, just look out for it. It is rolling out as we speak. Okay, next new feature. This is not so much a brand new feature again as a tidying up of existing features. So it's a bit of a change, but I think for the better. So this is how you can catch up on meetings from the chat view. With this new update, you'll be able to review everything that happened in a meeting from the chat window itself, including shared files, notes, and much more. With Intelligent Meeting Recap, you'll also see meeting speakers, name mentions, and any other AI-generated tasks. So Intelligent Meeting Recap is available for users who have Teams Premium or Copilot for Microsoft 365. So all of those features, everything all together will be just visible in this one view, as you can see on the screen here. You'll be able to quickly view the recap, view the recording, see any related notes and files, see any actions that were captured by AI, all of those things just in one quick location. So again, it's features that we've kind of covered over the last few months, but they're all just being brought together in one much easier to use view. Another new feature that is in new Teams, it has previously been in classic Teams, but it did disappear for a while, and it's just making its reappearance now in new Teams. So the notify when available feature in Microsoft Teams helps users to stay informed about where their colleagues are, their availability. Perhaps if there's that one person that you really need an important phone call with, and they just constantly appear to be in meetings or on phone calls, it will just allow you to set a tracker on them so you get notified as soon as they go green and you're able to contact them. So like I said, this feature is really handy when you're trying to reach team members who are currently unavailable or busy and you don't want to forget later on that you were trying to contact them. It helps save time by eliminating the need to check their status manually, and to see the option, all you'll need to do is to right click on the 3-dot menu next to their name, and you'll see in the drop down menu there, you've got the option to notify it when available. Once enabled, users will receive a banner notification within Teams when a colleague's status changes to available. This feature ensures that you can quickly follow up with that team member whose input is critical to whatever it is you're trying to get done. Microsoft Teams users can subscribe to get these notifications via the chat list or the people section in settings. Moreover, users can choose to turn off the notify when available feature or manage all your subscriptions in settings. So you can choose to turn this off, if you are someone that constantly gets a barrage of phone calls every time your icon goes green, you can turn off this feature so that it's not available, so people won't be notified when you're available. Microsoft has started rolling out this update to targeted release customers at the moment in the new desktop app, and it's expected to hit general availability for all Microsoft Teams users in June this year. So again, probably unlikely that most people have it at the moment, but it will begin to start rolling out during this month. So keep an eye out for it if you think it could be useful for you, or also if it's something that you don't want to happen, you don't want to get these, you don't want people to have the ability to go after you as soon as your icon goes green, you can turn it off as well. So just keep an eye out for when it becomes available and turn it off as soon as you can. Okay, so the dreaded "you're on mute" conversation is still happening. Can you believe that? There is a new mute button for Teams calls that is coming soon. Again, this is one of those new features that I think might be useful for a minority of people. I think the majority of people probably it's going to make no difference to you, so don't worry about it too much. Microsoft are adding a new mute button option to the Windows taskbar. So this feature, available in the new Teams experience on Windows, enables you to mute and unmute your audio by clicking the mic option in the Windows taskbar. A potential use for this I could see is that if you are kind of listening into a meeting whilst looking at another window and you suddenly realise you're not on mute and there's noise going on, you can quickly do that from the taskbar. Other than that, I think it's not a massive change to what you're already doing using the mute button within the Teams app itself. So just something to keep an eye out for. Something is going to appear in your taskbar at some point, so at least this way you know what it is. Some people may find it useful, but again, it's not going to override any of the options that you've already got in your Teams app. Okay, we've whizzed through all of the updates for today, so I just wanted to quickly let you know about the next webinar that's coming soon in this series. So that will be in July, on the 4th of July, in fact, and you can register for that now on our website, or Cara will drop the link for that into the announcements box as well. It will be the first time in almost 3 years that I'm not going to be doing this webinar next month, but I am going to be leaving you in the very capable hands of my colleague Craig. I know he's really looking forward to presenting for you, so please do give him a big welcome. Make sure lots of you are around to see that webinar on the 4th of July. He'll be delivering all of the same great updates that I've done over the past 3 years, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future. I'm not going anywhere. So Craig will be taking over for the 4th of July webinar, and hopefully he'll see lots of you there. Cara has posted that link in the announcements, so if you would like to sign up now, just so it's in your diary, please do go ahead. So I just wanted to quickly run you through our stakeholder workshop that Bedroq run. So this is called the 8 Rocks assessment. It goes back to the 8 Rocks that we talked about right at the beginning in the introduction. And this is a stakeholder workshop designed to get consensus on your business priorities. So it can be conducted face-to-face or virtually, and it gets leaders and investors aligned to the best possible way to basically attack your IT strategy and make sure that it's all aligned with your business strategy as well. So if you're potentially an IT leader within your organisation and you need a bit of backup to prove to the CFO, anyone else along those lines, that you need to make a bit of investment into your IT, or you're looking at ways that you can better use the investments that you've already made, we're happy to help you look at all of those things. So let us know if that's something that would interest you. We're happy to get you signed up, and we'll put you in touch with the team that will walk you through that process. We have a little bit of time for Q&A now, so if anyone has any other questions that you didn't put in during the webinar, please do feel free to drop those into the box. So let me just keep an eye on that. So someone's got a suggestion that is there a Copilot feature that would automatically send the AI generated notes and to-do tasks by email to all the participants after the call? That would be amazing. I agree, Martin, that would be amazing. At the moment, I haven't seen anything in the pipeline to do that. It would be really great if all of the to-do tasks are just automatically tagged into people's names and automatically are emailed to them, just to make sure that they get followed up. I will let you know if we get any word of that happening anytime in the future. But there's constant Copilot updates coming now, with Copilot being live. So I'm sure there's all kinds of new features that we'll be talking about over the coming months. Okay, I think that's covered most of the questions we've got today. There's a couple of others that I'll get back to you individually. I just wanted to say thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And if there's anything that we've covered today that you want to ask more questions about later on, potentially if you're looking at the fact sheet and suddenly think of something, please do feel free to reach out. You'll get the email from me with the recording later today. And happy to help you with any queries you might have on this, or if you have any outstanding questions about something else, we're happy to look at covering those in the future. So thank you very much for joining us today, everyone, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.